He said that Jesus Christ has risen, and he is the open door.
Well, how you doing, everyone? Welcome to this edition of the Cajun Conservative Show, where we talk about life, we talk about liberty, we talk about the pursuit of happiness. And yes, I'm glad to say I show the world that us Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are located, because remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Kind of running late, ladies and gentlemen, almost a whole day late. Unfortunately, got caught under the weather when I normally record, so this is a late edition of the show. We have a lot to talk about. This is one of them days that when I looked at all the stories I saved, I'm like, wow, I have a lot. And so I might not spend all the segments on one topic, but that is good. I think as more information I can get out there, the better. It is starting to get to the point where two shows can't handle it all, but that's all right. I am here. I am going to do my best, and I got some interesting stories. A big shout out to everyone that is a sponsor and a supporter of the podcast. I say sponsor, but you know, well, look, I can say you're a sponsor and supporter because if you hit the subscribe button, if you hit the share button, and you like the video or the podcast you're listening to, that helps me and supports me out. So if you can, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Please hit the follow button on the platform you're listening on. We're on several platforms. You can get all the information on the CajunConservativeShow.wordpress.com, and you can also go ahead and email me if you have any questions or comments at the CajunConservative5@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on True Social, on all of that, and trying to get conservatism out there for the younger generation. We have a jam-packed show, like I said, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off with the calls for a national divorce. Now, I've heard somewhat of this going into last week, and this is when this happened a couple of weeks ago, but it has flared up again. The Republican representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, tweeted something out of all days on President's Day, which was February 20th of 2023, and I'm going to read her tweet, and then we're going to start diving into this topic. You know, should America get nationally divorced? What do I mean by that? Well, let me read her tweet, then we're going to start diving into this. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted on February 20th, 2023, "We need a national divorce. We need to be separated by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this. From the sick to the disgusted woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrat tyrants, America's last policies, we are," and they have the tweet, "we are." So Marjorie Taylor Greene, now this isn't the first time. Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out with this. She did a poll a while back where on Twitter, October 11th of 2021, where she asked, should America have a national divorce? And 47% of the people that took this poll said no, stay together. 43% yes, R&D states, and 9% said undecided. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been coming around because she tweeted this, and Twitter blew up, and a lot of people started talking about this, and like Dan Bongino brought it up, The Blaze brought this up, a few Daily Wire commentators brought this up. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to somewhat define what she was talking about. This is from Town Hall. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene defended her comments earlier this week about the U.S. needing to undergo a natural divorce. During an interview on Fox News, Greene says she wasn't calling for a civil war, but argued for a peaceful divorce between red and blue states. "We need a national divorce," Greene tweeted on President's Day from the sick, and I just read your quote earlier. However, after harsh criticism of her remarks, the Republican said that she is concerned about the direction the country is heading if changes aren't made. And this is her quote. Now, she was on Sean Hannity when she did this. And Sean Hannity, to my vibes of the interview that he was giving, agreed with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And let me go ahead and Joe. She said, let me go ahead and find the quote. I just had it. Everyone I talk to is sick and tired of being bullied by the left and disrespected by the left, Greene said. Our ideas, our policies, our ways of life has become so far apart that's coming to that point. The last thing I ever want to see in America is a civil war. No one wants that. At least everyone that I know would never want that is going in that direction. We have to do something about it. When questioned whether she violated her constitutional oath by calling for the divorce, Greene argued that she was calling for a smaller federal government. And this is her quote: "This isn't ending our nation. This is strengthening the federal government, which we need to stop our spending," Greene said, adding, "Our spending is out of control. We can abolish departments in different parts of our federal government and give states more power and control to conduct their affairs and their laws that fit the people that live in their state. This is more respectful towards all Americans, and it can end the fighting, and hopefully we can respect each other once again." So, ladies and gentlemen, my assessment when first hearing about Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out with this concept of saying, hey, we need a national divorce. We need to have red states and blue states. We need to go ahead and stop big government and stop the left what they're doing. We just need to stop this. And that we need to separate. A quote came to mind, and I don't know who said it. I can look it up, but it's just easier to say. United we stand, divided we fall. This is a biblical concept as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our country would not survive separated. This is what's neat about this country. I'm just gonna look. We have our differences. I have friends on the left. I hear what friends on the left say. I've quoted one, Mr. Leftist. I've titled that to change his name to protect the innocent. But I consider Mr. Leftist a good friend of mine. We grew up together. We knew each other growing up. But I consider him a friend. I disagree with him politically, but I still consider him a friend. And you can have that in America. That's what makes our republic so unique. You can have the difference of opinion, but you can still live together as a nation. But ladies and gentlemen, starting to pull apart the nation based on red and blue, and tearing up this nation is not the way to go. We would be divided, and since we would be divided, we would be more of a greater risk of a threat coming in from outside our country. Also, Marjorie Taylor Greene is bringing out this great idea, but there's no thought behind it, because another thing that would hurt us would be a new government. Now, look, is our Constitution perfect? No. I'll be blunt to say that the Constitution is not perfect, but it's very close to be. It's very close to being perfect. Our Constitution, think about this, has lasted for over 200 and going on to 40 years. Our Constitution has went through thick and thin, and it is still standing up today. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has brought out some points in her Fox News interview where she says that we're tired of the left sticking our nose in. Tired of the left sticking their nose into our business, into our way of life. They're cramming stuff down our throat. This is a question that Dan Bongino brought out, and I think it's a good question that we should discuss a little bit more, is do you think if we have a national divorce that the left's going to keep their nose out of our business? Of course not. They don't do it now. They go ahead and they cram things into, well, yeah, but Isaac, if we had separate countries, no, that would not work. You couldn't have a red America and a blue America. United we stand, divided we fall. And ladies and gentlemen, on this note, think about this. Even with all the division that we have, I was supposed to bring this up, and I thought about it, and I passed over. I'm going to go back to my last point about united we stand, divided we fall. Don't you remember the ones that were people that are listening that were alive, 9/11? Tragic day in America. But Americans, it didn't matter if you was red or blue, came together and we came united. We were united. I remember that at 8 years old, that we were united. And let's go to our a more recent show of unity was when Damar Hamlin went on the ground on the football field. Now that was not, you can say that wasn't that significant towards country with warfare or whatever, but don't you remember the unity that America got together and prayed for a football player that got hit in the chest and was not breathing on the field? It didn't matter who you were. You were red, blue, orange, white. It didn't matter. We came together and prayed for this man. And that's what makes America unique. A lot of people might say, "Oh, Isaac, are you saying that because you're a Trump supporter?" No, that's what makes America great. We can be so divided, but something happens that brings us together, and we realize, hey, it's more than just a football game or more than just politics. It is coming together as the United States. Now, do I agree with anything on the left? No, I don't agree with hardly nothing on the left. But telling us to divide ourselves, it's not the answer. Now, look, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think some of her policies are good. But this right here is not. You're telling us to divide as a nation. And that's not what our founding fathers wanted. And if you think about it, we had a national divorce one time, and it was very ugly. It was called the Civil War. We lost the president and thousands upon thousands of men trying to unite a country that was torn apart. Now she says she don't want that. She wants a peaceful divorce. Ladies and gentlemen, look, thank the Lord, me and my wife, we've been together going on to 10 years. And that word has never come out of our mouth. Thank the Lord. Now this is where it comes to the point. In ministry and in my life, I have seen people divorce. I have seen people break away, and look, there's nothing pretty about a divorce. Isaac, that's marriage, that's not a country. Really, let a national divorce happen and see the stuff that's going to come out. You're going to have, look, not to go ahead and bring out the border situation on it, because look, like the whole South, majority of the South from Tennessee on to Texas is mostly red. Governor-wise, you only have one blue Democrat sitting in office, and that is my governor, John Bel Edwards. But majority of that's red. From Tennessee on down, as you go more to the west, you would see it's not as red, it's more purple. And then you go to California, so you would have red. Oh, blue state here, blue state there, blue states here, all in the north, and red. And you have all kind of different states. Then it rises up to the question too. Oh, like Florida. Okay, Florida's bright red right now. But imagine if Florida would magically turn back to blue. Do they go ahead and say, "Hey, we're seceding from the red states of America to the blue states of America because we're blue"? Ladies and gentlemen, this even bringing this up, it's not the greatest move. I do not agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this. And look, I agree with Sean Hannity a lot. But like I said, watching this interview, it was like he was saying he was for this. Now, I could be wrong. Now, that interview was a week. He could have said something before. I don't always watch Fox News. You know, a lot of people on TikTok and a lot of people on YouTube and all these networks, oh, you're a Fox head. No, I don't only watch Fox News. So I don't know if his stance has changed, but a national divorce is not the answer. You know what is the answer, though, to this right here? Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's tired of the left going in and sticking their nose and everything like that. I understand her perspective on this. What we need to do is we need to do better at the voting polls. Okay, this is what we need to get our message out there. Look, I disagree a lot with the left, but the left does one thing really, really well. They go ahead and they promote their side a lot better than we do. They are influencers all over the left. There's podcast. Look, don't get me wrong. We have Ben Shapiro. We have Matt Walsh. We have The Blaze. We have Town Hall. We have all this stuff. We have We have conservative media, yours including. But the left does a way better job. Now, we can argue, because, look, and I know, look, prime example, my brother Scott Ford. He was pulled off of YouTube at one time. Now his YouTube channel is more of a motivational, and he switched politics to Rumble and to his podcast. But he can't go on YouTube and just say whatever he wants, because YouTube is going to flag him. Now, look, we're on YouTube. We understand. We have to follow certain rules. I have to, and Scott has to, and all. We understand this. So we have to go around. We have to make sure our words is correct. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the left has freedoms. They can talk. They can. So you can have that argument. But look, we have Rumble. We have other alternate versions of these main companies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we need to go get our message out there. Conservatism, we need to get our message clearer and better, and make sure that and also turn off the polls. Hey, you know, like right now, I'm a big advocate of early voting. Oh, Isaac, that's where the Democrats stick us at. Exactly. Early vote, Republicans, and go get people to vote. Me personally, I wish they would get rid of early voting, but I can't. I don't control that. I'm not part of the government in that way. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do a better job. We have to present our arguments better. We have to go to the polls and we have to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, and look, this might ruffle some feathers, but, you know, look, the candidates that we had last time, were they good candidates? It's funny how after the campaign we're realizing Oz wasn't that good of a candidate. Herschel Walker, that wasn't that good of a candidate. You had other candidates all over the world, all over the nation that was not fit for the job. Donald Trump liked them, and that's why he endorsed them. I don't think we're at a point for a national divorce. I don't think we'll ever get to that point, because we have to remember this: united we stand, divided we fall. And I don't see Marjorie Taylor Greene bringing out two good points, because look, if you want to, go check out Dan Bongino's show. He talks about this a lot more better than I can, but he brings out pros and cons. But, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is a bad idea, because, like I said, when I first started, I didn't even think about the implements of a Social Security, and like Dan Bongino went through. All I thought of: united we stand, divided we fall. If we are not united as a nation, we're going to fall. And that is scary. And now for representatives to come out and say, hey, we should nationally have divorce each other into red states and blue states, I don't think it's a good idea. With that being said, I'll be right back after this short break. How you doing, everyone? Isaac here. I'm the Cajun Conservative, and I want to thank Brother Lanny Hayes from Hayes' Dump Truck Service for their generous support of the Cajun Conservative and Brothers Just Searching. Hayes' Dump Truck Service serves the Lafayette and surrounding areas. If you have any job that you need done, like cleanup or hauling material to your job site or your home, we haul limestone, we haul sand, we haul topsoil, any type of material you need. If you're in the Lafayette and surrounding areas, please call Brother Lanny Hayes at 337-852-8043. Remember, Hayes' Dump Truck Service, where Jesus is Lord of the company.
With your blood, cleansed and made us whole. Not one hoof, not one soul.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second segment of the Cajun Conservative Show. I want to bring up one more point, talking back about the last segment. There is an article from The Blaze, and it's Harjewett. He's the writer of this. Let me find his name. Daniel Harjewett from The Blaze Media went ahead and wrote, we already have a national divorce. It's just one-sided, and brings out some good he brings out Marjorie Taylor Greene and her calls for that, and he brings out in this article, I think it went, yeah, wow, that's weird. Okay, brings out in the article how, look, it's already one-sided if you think about it. Let's look about like when Donald Trump was in office. Donald Trump tried to do stuff in the country, and blue states would go ahead and say no. And look, a lot of people don't realize this. Our Constitution gives a lot of power to the states. The states have a lot of power that they hold, and they can go ahead and do a lot of stuff with their power. But blue governors would tell Trump no. Now, we've tried that. Now, Republican governors tried doing that, telling President Biden no, and the media, oh, look, they're not listening to the commander-in-chief. Don't they know he wants to do good for them? And they made all kind of arguments. And look, blue states, hey, they do what they want, especially on the abortion issue right now. You have some states that have signed into law where you can have an abortion up to the time that the baby's being born. I call that stupidity, but blue states have the power to do that. And then you have red states that are trying to abolish abortion, which I'm for. But you see the toll that they're having right here, ladies and gentlemen. I compared this earlier. I was thinking about this, and when I was getting ready to, getting prepped up for this show, it's kind of like this in America right now. Now, look, I'm not for a national divorce. I'm not. I don't think we should label blue states, red states, like I said in the first segment. But America's like this right now. And I know couples like this. Let me just say like that, where they're married, but they either don't live in the same house or they don't stay in the same bed. They don't stay in the same bedroom. They live together. They talk. But they don't. They're not intimate unless they really want to, and or they go visit one another. Like I said, I know one couple that they live at totally two different houses, and they go visit each other. I think that's what it's like. America's in a separation, but they're not in a separation. That's not a divorce. And I think that's where we're at right now. As a nation, we are, as red and blue, separated. We're like, no, we don't like your policies. Please keep that in your state. If you want to come to our state, great, but don't bring your blue agenda here. And then you have the Democrats that are pushing way more left than they should. They're way beyond the foul line. They're almost at the fence, and they're about to push the fence to the left. And we don't want to be shoved with their agenda. But we have to stay in the same house. We have to, best way to put it, has anybody ever watched The Odd Couple? Oscar and Felix? They made two versions. They made one back, I think, in the late 80s or late 70s, early 80s. And then they recently made one on CBS. I don't even know if it's still on. I've seen a few episodes. But that's where you remember, Felix was always mad at Oscar. Oscar would make a mess. Felix come clean it up. Oscar would throw the mess back. And that's how I think that's a good comparison of the situation we are right now. Republicans clean up and Democrats make a mess. And look, I hope I didn't insult the actors of the Odd Couple, naming Oscar the Democrat and Felix the Republican. But I think that's where we at. But going back to the first segment, Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for a national divorce, no. I don't think that's right. I think our Constitution has ways of fixing these problems. Unfortunately, we have the left and some on the right that don't want to use the Constitution to fix our problems because they have their own agenda to ruin this country. And this is why this topic is coming up. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I got a couple of stories that I want to bring out before I get to, because I want to talk about student loans and all that, but I wrote this quote right here, say, oh, how quick the left are to accuse and shame Christians. And there was a couple of stories this week that I seen that I really thought I needed to talk about. One is, this is from the Daily Caller. My baby's heart had stopped. Jessica Duggar fires back after leftists say her miscarriage was an abortion. Jesse Duggar Sewall fired back at pro-abortionist leftists who claimed that a post-miscarriage procedure she received was an abortion on Instagram this past Monday. Ms. Stoward posted a video on her YouTube channel Friday detailing how she had lost her fifth pregnancy over the holiday season. 11 weeks into her pregnancy, Sewall, I hope I'm saying her name right, saw a doctor after experiencing a brief period of spotting. I was just in complete shock, Stoller said, recounting how she felt after the technician told her the baby wouldn't make it. I didn't even have words. I just immediately started crying, and I was so thankful in that moment that I had not gone to the appointment by myself because I almost did, and Ben was there, and he put his arms around me. Now, So look, praying for this woman. Unfortunately, me and my wife have went through, to my recollection, 2 miscarriages. It is hard. And look, I'm glad her husband was there. This is a hard topic, miscarriage. But now it goes to the point where pro-abortionist leftists were quick to act on this. Because I think my wife went through one process where the baby has grown and you have to go ahead and clean out the womb. It's a procedure. Well, leftists, and this is called a DNC medical procedure. Well, leftists went ahead and started saying, oh, look, this Christian that's against abortion. Oh my goodness, she went ahead and had one. And look, any doctor could tell you this procedure is needed. As she said, she wrote in there and she said, look, the doctor said the heart stopped. The baby was dead. I'm as much as I could be. But see how the leftists act, ladies and gentlemen? They want to call us hypocrites when they're some of the biggest hypocrites out there. People on the left are some of the biggest hypocrites because when the baby's born, they want to protect it at all costs until before it's, or as I mentioned, states passing abortion laws until the 9th month. And this is horrible. But they were quick to jump on this woman. And this is one of the Duggars from 19 Kids and Counting. Because she had a procedure done to protect her. Now, as I said, hypocrisy, what about the mother's health? You always hear that. That's why they push abortion. It's for the mother's health. But they want to jump on her. And now she has said the ultrasound that her baby, the heartbeat had stopped. And this was a regular procedure and everything. But listen how, I can't think, I can't imagine people being that cruel. This hypocritic Christian had an abortion. She telling people not to have an abortion. The baby was gone already. She didn't do this procedure when the baby was, the heartbeat was going. But the left is quick to jump on this. And this is the left, ladies and gentlemen. This is like I said, hypocrisy. The same people that cry for women's health. She had something to keep her health in line. Oh, they want to tell her that she had an abortion. And see, this proves that people should have abortion. No, this isn't right. And the left jumped on her. And like I said, how quick the left is to jump on Christians. Like I said, look, I have friends on the left. I call them friends. I have debate with them all the time on Facebook. And they call me hypocrite, but when I go ahead and tell them their hypocrisy, they want to pick up my toys and go. And this is what, and she said the record straight. She said, look, I had a regular procedure, but this is what caught my attention. It's just sad that the left is quick to jump on a woman like this that just had a miscarriage. And like I said, it's hard. I've experienced that. You know, seeing your wife cry her eyes out because she lost a child that she loved. Never met yet, but she lost a child that she loved. And it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking to see that. So, all right, let's go ahead and continue. One more story like this I seen. So, Kirk Cameron, a few weeks ago, won his battle to have story times in libraries. If you remember, ladies and gentlemen, a while back, they had the drag queen story times. They had them here in the state of Louisiana. We had parents that stepped back on them. We're like, no, you're not doing that. And they had all kind of stuff that went on with this. Now, Kirk Cameron, a writer of a children's book, wanted to go ahead and go into libraries and do a story time. Some libraries are like, oh, no, you're not. You're separation of church and state. He went to court. He won them. Now he's starting to do this story time. But I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Look, let's watch. The left wants to be heard. I'm going to ask you to imagine this. Imagine, you going into the library and there's a drag queen story time. And you start making noise and you start banging books and you start talking loud. 9 out of 10, the organizers of that event or the library staff is going to come up to you and say, please be quiet. These people are having a time of story reading for the children, of course. And they would expect you to go ahead and to respect their wishes and shut up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not for this, but if you go in there intentionally doing that, you shouldn't be going to that library. That's my humble opinion. Now, you can do whatever you want. It's a free country. But they would ask you to stop. Now, this is going to my point of the story. Kirk Cameron, Riley Gaines, and Duck Dynasty Missy Robinson harassed by library staff at faith-based story hour. This is from the Daily Wire. So in weeks leading up to the pre-approved faith-based story hour event, Cameron's publishers Brave Books said they had started to get pushback from the director of the Hendersonville Library, Alan Morris. Fox News reported the publisher said Morris did not want any movement coming to his library after learning who Cameron was and that he would be joined by Robinson and Gaines. After learning who Cameron was, however, the publisher said when the library board of directors and the community learned this, they were for the story hour and the library staff backed down. So the library was like, hey, no, we don't want no Christians in here. We don't want nobody talking about Christianity. So, but the library board and the community said, yeah, we're going to, look, if you can have drag story time, you can have a faith base. Now, Missy Robinson was told the publishers that she was taken off guard. What happened that day after being asked to be a guest reader of her book, Because You're My Family, Robinson and Cameron started filming at the library for their joint promo hours before the event, and that's when the first trouble started. What trouble? I'm going to break it down because the article's long. Well, while everyone was trying to read, and Missy Robinson was trying to read, and Gaines was trying to read, and they were trying to film, you had librarians going and bang books, bam, 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 and started all talking loud and having loud conversations in a library of all places. And ladies and gentlemen, this disrupted, and when people started asking, hey, can y'all be quiet, the staff was told, well, we can do whatever we want. They even put on music in the library and said, we can turn this up as much as we want. We're the librarians. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you see the hypocrisy in this? Don't you see the hypocrisy of the left? See, if this was a drag story hour, you would have had to been quiet. You couldn't say nothing. You would have to the mem is the word. Don't say a word. But because it was Christians and the librarians thought, oh, well, we disagree what they're teaching our children, we got to make noise. We got to go ahead and play loud music. We got to go ahead and do all this stuff to disrupt this reading hour. And ladies and gentlemen, Cameron and them were very upset at this. They had to get their right to get in there. Look, you have a right to go into the library and read a book. Okay, I can write a book and I can go into the library and read it. But these librarians apparently were leftists and they did not want nothing of Christianity. They didn't want nothing of the right. So they were doing their best to disturb this story hour. And I used the example at the beginning of this story. Imagine me going in there and doing that to a drag story hour where there's a drag queen reading sexual immoral books to our kids. And I would have started doing it. I would have got called. The cops would have called. The cops would have been called and they would have arrested me because I was disturbing the peace. And they would have made some excuse that, oh, they have the right to be here. You can't infringe on somebody else's rights. But they can do it to Christians. And look, both stories of this segment at the beginning shows me one thing, that the left does not respect Christianity. We knew that before. But at least they should respect our rights. But I learned something about the left. We talked about a national divorce, and we're partially in one now. That is a good example of it. See, the left can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, or tell anybody anything they want and protest whatever they want. But us on the right, we have to be quiet. Especially if you're a Christian. That is not for a library. That is for a church. And you should go ahead and keep that at your church. All right, so I want to go ahead and talk about student loans. I have something about Ron DeSantis. I'm going to move that to the third segment. The Supreme Court went ahead and heard some arguments this week concerning Joe Biden's forgiveness loan debts, forgive students loans. And it's kind of funny. One of these lawsuits is people that tried to get it and couldn't get it. So now they sued the Biden administration. They went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and that case could probably get rid of the whole thing. So let me go ahead. And Joe Biden planned for canceling some $400 billion in student loan debts and sticking taxpayers with the bills, implying congressional approval may be required. And this happened in August. Biden announced that the Department of Education, under Education Secretary Margot Cardona, would alternately cancel up to 20,000 in unpaid loans for 40 million borrowers. The administration claimed the plan legal under the House Act of 2003. Now that was the House, that act was passed because of first responders and military personnel that had student loans but had to go fight a war, because remember, we was going to Afghanistan. And we were going ahead and we was trying to go ahead and make sure our country's free. So these loans were to forgive them. But all these people that have tried for this, these 40 million borrowers, nine out of 10, they're not going to war. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was a promise that the Biden administration, well, let me go ahead and finish reading. It's interactive, and it freeze. This is the thing that I don't like about this. And there's arguments from conservative justices. They're asking questions and they're asking the constitutionality of this. Ladies and gentlemen, who gives the right for the president to say, "Hey, I'm going to forgive you of debt, and I'm going to your student debt, and I'm going to go ahead and the taxpayers are going to pay for this"? Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden is going ahead and tell everybody in this country, listen, if you have student debt, it was your fault you're in student debt, and you should pay that off, but you don't have to pay it off. If you vote for me, I'm going to forgive you of all your student debt. I'm going to forgive you. You don't have to worry about it. And when people ask the question when this first came out, who's going to pay the bill? Oh, the taxpayers. Why should the taxpayers have to pay for student loan debt? Why does the taxpayers have to go ahead and fork over the bill? Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, big government, big spending. See, the government, Biden wants votes. He wants votes for 2024 if he runs. And to do this, he's going to get them votes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I heard a statistic the other day where it said that 27% of people have student loan debt. That's almost 30% of our population. But what about the other 70%? You know, the 70% like me that did not go to college? I had the opportunity. I could have went if I wanted to, but I didn't. Now I drive trucks for a living. I don't need a college degree to drive trucks yet. But I never went to college, so I got to pay for whoever's down the street that has student loans that I don't feel like paying. I'm entitled to free college. And I got to pay for the bozos and the lazy bums that go to college and drop out and have all the student debt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. The problem isn't solved as Biden's trying to push it. Biden, and the Supreme Court is going to judge and rule this in June. When this happens, we're probably going to report on it. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen. It's not my responsibility to pay for somebody else's debt. It's like me going to get a car and telling my next door neighbor, "Hey, I bought a car, but I don't feel I should pay the bill, so you're going to have to pay it." That's not right. Now, you know what they need to do? Because a lot of these student loans are given by the government. They should go ahead and fix it to where they don't give these loans to every person that applies for them. Because it's very easy to get a loan now. And that's the problem. Colleges know this, so the colleges raise the tuition rates. And that hurts our nation with the student loans. And then you have a crazy nut like Joe Biden getting there and say, "Hey, I'm just going to cancel everybody's student loans, and the government's going to pay." No, not the government's going to pay. We're going to pay because we pay the government. And this concept is, it's just, me, it's common sense. But somebody on the left, "No, I'm entitled to free college." No, you're not. You know how you pay off student loans, by the way? And look, it's simple. Anyone that's in college today, I'm not trying to offend you, but if you don't know how to pay your student loan and you're worried, the government's not going to pay it for me. You know how you pay that student loan? Get a job. Do like all the rest of us. Go get a job. I have a job. I don't even have student loans, but I got debts and I pay them. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need people to get jobs and pay off their student loans. Not looking for a handout for free college. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back after this short break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. My name is Scott Ford, and I have a podcast on Spotify. I would love it if you went over and subscribed to my podcast. It's a talk show. It covers a wide variety of topics. I cover success, motivation, funny stories, topical events, things going on in the world. And I would love it if you went over and subscribed to my podcast. Thank you so much, Isaac. God bless. Enjoy your life.
You're my peace of mind when this old world seems to get me down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's my hope and strength. He's my peace of mind when this old world gets me down. That's my dad, Lenny Hayes. Go check out his YouTube channel, the Coda Homes Fellowship. That's the church that he pastors. He pastors a little church in St. Martinville. You can also check out all the other music. Phil Kennedy. I gotta look at his album. But Phil Kennedy's album, The Cross in the Door. And then you have Eric Hayes, his album, He's Mine. That's on Spotify. Go check all that out. There's some good music right there, especially if you're a believer. This encouraged you. I learned something about music. Music encouraged you. Man, it was just yesterday. I was having some issues. Like I said, not feeling well. And I was just down. I'm like, Lord, help me. I put on some worship music, and it lifted up my spirit. And that's what music's there for. Music lifts you up. Good biblical music, good anointed music. I love listening to good worship music. So, all right, I was supposed to cover this in the last segment, and I ran long on the other two stories that I had on here, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw them here and try to go as quickly as possible with the couple of minutes we have left. Ron DeSantis signs the bill revoking Disney's self-government power. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, if you remember, Ron DeSantis went ahead and said, look, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna strip Disney of their governing power over Disneyland. It was I didn't know that until this happened, but for Florida to get Disney World, they offered Disney a once in a lifetime deal. That this section where Disney World was going to be at in the surrounding areas, they can be their self-government. They didn't have to pay taxes. And I guess I didn't look into all the details, but I guess they had like a 5-man panel or a 5-person panel. It was like their Congress and stuff. And the only way I guess you can kind of explain it, it's like here in Louisiana, we have a little small community right next to us. They don't have a mayor. They don't have a mayor. They don't have a police department. They don't have a city hall. Nothing. And it's like it's a town. It's a town. But they don't have the mayor or whatever. They have a group of people that are selected, and they run the affairs of the city. Now, the local sheriff's department, they go ahead and take care of the crime, and the parish is kind of like their mayor and stuff. They dictate what goes on there, and they have a school and everything. It works out great for them. But Disney isn't a town. I guess you could say it was a town because I never went to Disney World, so I don't know the outlines. I can probably call people and ask them, hey, what Disney World looks like, and they can explain. But there's there's sections I know. There's the history section. There's the Magic Kingdom. There's this and this. All that I understand. But Disney was their own little government, and they didn't have to pay taxes, and there was tons of benefits for moving Disney World to Florida. But Ron DeSantis, after they went ahead and attacked him on their so-called Don't Say Gay bill, which never said that in the bill, which passed, Ron DeSantis said, no, you're going to attack us, the government, and because you don't like us and you're trying to retaliate against us, we're going to go ahead and pull this special deal we had with y'all. And he did. Now, a lot of people were upset about this, but Ron DeSantis since then has already put people in place to run this area. But since he has done this, ladies and gentlemen, now Joy Reid, I haven't talked about Joy Reid in a long time, but she's like The View. She gets really under my skin. Kind of made an assumption this week about Ron DeSantis, and she says that DeSantis is even worse than Trump. And if you listen to her monologues, I think she brings this out. She talks about Disney and Ron DeSantis and his new book, how people don't like his new book. And funny how all these people with Ron DeSantis and his new book are leftists, by the way. New York Times and everything. That this ain't a good book. This is this. All kind of leftists have reviewed this book, and they all said it's horrible. Now, it's vice versa now. On the conservative side, everybody loves it. Now, I seen the book the other day at Walmart, and I didn't pick it up. I didn't even know he wrote it. That's how much I pay attention to politicians writing books. Anyway, if it's not Phil Robinson, guys, I don't know when he's writing a book, or Mark Levin. But anyway, Ron DeSantis, she comes out and she says that Ron DeSantis is even worse than Trump. Providing yet again how terrible the left is of DeSantis because of the Republican nominee. She declared the Florida governor a more authoritarian version of Trump, who would seek a return of a pre-civil rights America. Now, why am I bringing this out? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I knew this. Okay, and they're starting up early. It don't matter who's running in the Republican nominee. They're going to say that he's racist, he's homophobic, he or she, because Nikki Haley's in the race. Whoever the Republican candidate is going to be a racist, homophobic bigot. And they, look, I didn't think they could try to stoop as low as saying he was evil as Trump. But see, now they're bringing that mentality in here. You know, you want Ron DeSantis, but I think Trump will even be better than Ron DeSantis. You see how this is working, ladies and gentlemen. The left is already attacking. They're getting ready to shape this political attack on Ron DeSantis as he's evil, homophobic. He's totally opposite. And ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm going to say this. I'll give all credit to the late great Rush Limbaugh, because he drilled this into my mind, because I'm a Rush baby. The Republicans are bad. They're evil. And it don't matter who they are. And look, the left's gonna go to their attacks. They can't attack him on agenda. They can't attack him on stuff they have done. So where they go? To race and to bigotry, and they did name everything in the book. That is one of many arsenals in the Democratic playbook. And guess what? They're starting to unleash on Ron DeSantis. Now, there was a poll that said Trump was leading Ron DeSantis. I don't believe that. I don't trust polls regardless if they're left or right. But ladies and gentlemen, this right here. Oh, Joy Reid saying he's worse than Trump. They're scared of Ron DeSantis. They're scared of Trump. Don't get me wrong. They're scared of Trump, but they're also scared of Ron DeSantis. And look, I commend Ron DeSantis. He's doing everything in his power right now to try to stay out of national headlines. Or let me say that, not out of headlines. He's trying to stay negative. He's trying to stay out of the negative stuff. And his response on Trump and their attacks, I think, is great. But Joy Reid making this comment shows me that the left is scared of Ron DeSantis. Okay, so next on our agenda, the Washington Post writer opposes public seeing all January 6th footage. So we know, this is from Breitbart. I got this article from, and as we know, the far left Washington Post has a columnist there named Donna Milbanks, and he is openly admitting he doesn't want all the footage from the mostly peaceful January 6th protest. They're saying that this is Breitbart protests at the U.S. Capitol to be released to the public. He went ahead and made a comment. I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is from his transcript. Releasing all the January 6th footage is another one of the promises Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy made to the holdouts to give him the speakership. Before I continue, this is the January 6th footage that they gave to Tucker Carlson. According to Matt Gaetz himself, this is one of the things that Kevin McCarthy promised, to release all the footage. Of course, he's now releasing it. He released it specifically to Tucker Carlson, who can edit it and doctor it any which way. I'm going to stop right there, because when I first heard this, and I heard this on the video, Tucker Carlson can edit it and doctor it any which way. Didn't the January 6th committee do this? Because remember, all 9 of the people that were on that committee voted against Trump. And they took the footage that they didn't want to show, put it on the side, and took footage that proved their point, and they edited it and doctor it to prove their point that Donald Trump was the conspiracy theorist on this. He went ahead and planned all this January 6th insurrection, and they stopped right there. So it's okay for the January 6th committee to do that, but not Tucker Carlson, which I don't know if Tucker Carlson will do that. I hope he doesn't. I hope Tucker Carlson goes ahead and brings out the truth. Look, I understand why the other medias are asking for the same thing. The truth is, this doesn't belong in the public domain for anybody. Kevin McCarthy sort of convenience to cater to Matt Gaetz and to the Tucker Carlsons. He is risking the security of himself and all his colleagues and of the Capitol of itself. So it's sort of a thing where if this footage is in the hand of any media, as happens with any national security information in the possession for the media, they need to work with the Capitol Police and others so they don't compromise the security of the Capitol. And you can be pretty sure that's not what Tucker Carlson's going to do with this information. So let the Capitol Police and the media, any other media, no, we can't have this. No, we can't have that. No, you can use this. You can't use that. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the main job of the media? Is to expose government in their conniving ways. That is why you have freedom of the press. And ladies and gentlemen, I've been part of this. I went to meetings where they had elected officials for a particular party. I brought my camera and they told me, no, you cannot record. Now, I didn't know what I know now, that I could tell them, well, what does the First Amendment say? And I could have fought it a little better. But ladies and gentlemen, you have a right. And this is because you don't want backroom deals. And the freedom of the press, if you can go and you can videotape whatever you want. But ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna hurt the national security of the Capitol. How? Oh, because people can see this footage. They can go see a drone footage. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is not for the protection of the Capitol. It's to protect the left and their agenda. Because remember, their whole thing right now is to attack Donald Trump and to get Donald Trump not to run for office. And Tucker Carlson is probably going to do a better job than the January 6th committee, where they went ahead and they just said, hey, we can just doctor it every way we want. And like I said, it's okay for the January 6th committee to do it, but not Tucker Carlson? Don't you see the hypocrisy in that statement right there? And ladies, look, they're scared of this. They're scared of what Tucker Carlson's going to find. And look, I can't wait to see it. I really can't. I cannot wait to see what Tucker Carlson brings out. And he hasn't released anything yet. He's taking his time, because it was originally supposed to be right now. It's supposed to happen this week. But we're going to see what happens in the upcoming days. Also, the Senate and the House sets up for Biden's first veto. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. House and Senate sends rebuke of Biden's ESG agenda to his desk. Republicans and a handful of Democrats in the House and Senate rebuked the White House over a rule that would allow retirement fluctuations retirements to invest in accordance with the environmental, social, and corporate government movement, also known as ESG. The Labor Department published a final rule last year that reflected the Biden administration's directive to safeguard the economy from climate-related financial risks that may threaten the life savings and pensions of American workers and families. Under the new rule, which reverses a prohibited formerly created under the Trump administration, fabrications are allowed to weigh the economical efforts of climate change and other ESC's considerings, as long as such concerns are relevant to at risk and return analysts. Now, the House voted 216 to 204, and the Senate voted 50 to 46. Senator Tom Tester, Senator Joe Manchin, and Representative Gerald Gordon, along with other Republicans, passed the measure. Now, this is going to go to the president's desk, and to my knowledge, the president said he's going to veto this, which he has every right. Now, this is the bad thing about a lame duck presidency. Well, a lame duck Congress. The House can pass things, but the Senate's going to shoot it down. And if it does pass the Senate and the president don't like it, it's going to be shut down. So this is a win because of one thing. It shows that Democrats and Republicans can work on a common goal. See, you're not hearing this about it. All you're hearing in this story is that the Senate and the House are sending Biden's first veto. You're not hearing the media talk about the bipartisanism that it took for this to happen. The bipartisanism that it took for these Republicans and these Democrats to sit down and say this rule isn't right. You're not hearing the media praise the Democrats and the Republicans, because you know why? Because this is a Republican-led bipartisan effort. The Republicans led this legislation, and Democrats agreed with it. But now, if it was totally opposite, though, if it was a Republican president and a Democrat-led House and a Republican-led Senate, you would be hearing, oh, this is great bipartisan, but the president don't want to abide by the will of the people. And like I said, hypocrisy at its finest. You would have the media praising the Democrat-led congressional leaders for having a bipartisanship, because they did this with the infrastructure bill. They did this with the CHIPS bill, how it was bipartisan, and the Democrats worked very hard to get Republican votes in. But anything that praises the Republican Party or the conservatives, they don't want to touch it. Also, Biden is slammed for laughing while discussing mom who lost 2 children to fentanyl. Shameful. They had this lady that she went to a congressional hearing talking about fentanyl. And look, I heard the audio. I didn't see the video, but you could tell this woman was crying. She lost 2 of her sons to fentanyl. We don't know what were the circumstances, but she said that this drug was horrible. And she talked about the balloon, which was correct. We all talked about a balloon flying all over the country and how dangerous it is. But the southern border is having fentanyl come over all the time. And a lot of our congressional leaders aren't even looking at it. But she was pleading to Congress to do something. Now, of course, this question was asked to Biden at one of his very rare question and answers after he gives tons of speeches, but he don't go ahead and give answers to the public. And I don't know if it was Fox News. I don't know who it was. I know I got the article from Fox, and somebody asked him his opinion on this, and Biden just laughed it off. He let it out with a laugh. That's what the article says. Biden chuckled while discussing the situation during a House Democrat caucus issue conference in Baltimore yesterday night. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene pinned blame on the government for failing to stop the inflow of illegal drugs into America during the House hearing on the southern border. Her comments were in response to the testimony of Rebecca Kissling, whose 2 sons died on July 29, 2020 due to fentanyl poisoning. According to the Detroit News, the 2 consumed what they thought were some pills, but contained fentanyl. Let me go ahead and see. So Biden went ahead and said, listening to this mother who lost 2 children to fentanyl poison tells the truth both of her sons murdered because the Biden administration refused to secure our borders and stop. I think that was Taylor Greene. Let me find Biden's. Let me see where Biden. Let me see. I'm trying to see where. They don't have Biden's quotes on here. Okay, so let's go ahead, because I did see the video, and he said, so it was asked a question to him about this fentanyl crisis. And Biden just chuckled saying, oh, look, it was the last administration. He blamed it on Trump, of course. And the mother of these 2 sons did respond to this. And she slammed Biden, alleging he's to blame for her son's death in fentanyl. Now, so Biden, of course, like I said, blamed Trump because they came over on Trump's watch. But ladies and gentlemen, Biden has opened up the border and opened it up to crimes so outlandish. Look, we don't even know how many people. I think the last numbers were 2 million. And ladies and gentlemen, remember what Trump said? Most of these people are criminals that are coming over, and the left went ahead and try to crucify him because they were saying, no, this isn't all criminals. These are people that are looking for refuge, but they're coming over some way or another. And ladies and gentlemen, look, like I said, this is horrible. We have fentanyl passing all over our country from the southern border. Biden refuses to do something. This mother's right. It is Biden's fault, because he could stop this. He can close the border. He can start building the wall back that Trump started doing. But will Biden do that? No, he's going to mess up his friendship with the progressives, and it is sad. All right, I'm going to go a little long today. Because I have this story I do want to talk about. And it's about Mayor Lori Lightfoot. You know, the Chicago mayor, soon to be ex-mayor. Because Lori Lightfoot, first time in 40-year history of Chicago, the 40 years, Lori Lightfoot is the first mayor to not win re-election. She made history, ladies and gentlemen. She made history of losing her bid. Now, she was the third runner-up. They're going to the mayor's race in April is going to have a runoff election. Now, these are two Democrats that are running, so this is a small victory. But Mayor Lori Lightfoot, in a few years that she's been mayor, on occasion has come across my desk. And she has been a defund the police mayor. She has pushed every leftist agenda, and it has hurt Chicago. Chicago is one of the most I'm trying to say it in the right way. One of the highest rates of murder rates in the nation. That in New Orleans. And Lawyer to Destroy just got voted in. I'm still surprised with that. She can't run again, thank goodness. But Mayor Lightfoot pushed a lot of leftist agendas. She, like I said, she also pushed to defund the police. She did defund the police, and guess what? Their crime rate went up. And she started changing her stance right before election. So with that being said, she lost. She was the third place. She only had 17% of the vote. And people in Chicago said, hey, it's enough. Now, this is why this story is so interesting to me. Because Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, now she is a black woman. As I just said, she's a woman. And she's also part of the LGBTQ community. She's lesbian. Says, and this is coming from the Daily Wire. Correction. Whoa, one story. Oh, nope, not the Daily Wire. Fox News. That Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot reacts to election law, says she was treated unfairly because of her race and her gender. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Lightfoot, soon to be the ex-mayor of Chicago, says that she was dealt unfairly or treated unfairly because of her race and her gender. Now, my good friend Scott Ford just put out a video on Rumble. You should go check it out. And he's talking about this topic, and he made out a good point. And I thought of it the same way when I first heard it. Wasn't she black when she first ran, and was she also a woman? Also, was she part of the LGBT community then? And she won? Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. She's saying she was treated unfairly because of her race and because of her gender. But she was elected probably 4 years ago on her race and her gender. Don't you remember the news that Chicago, I think this was like one of the first black African-American people to be mayor or something of that nature, or the first woman, and she was also the first gay woman, and they all praised it. Chicago is finally starting to be diverse. But now that she lost, and if I'm not mistaken, she also said that Chicago was a lot of MAGA people, like Make America Great people. Like this is MAGA country. Chicago, really? Ladies and gentlemen, she didn't lose because of her race. She didn't lose because of her gender. She didn't lose because of her sexuality. She lost because she was a bad candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman right here, under her administration, has brought the crime in Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is hypocrisy, because you can't go ahead and use both of them. You can't have, well, I won because I'm a black African-American woman and I'm gay, and then 4 years later, I lost because I was treated unfairly because I'm a woman and I'm black. You can't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is wokeness that cost her job. Now, we do have these the two candidates. One they have accused of being a Republican, but he's a Democrat. I don't know. We would have to see. Is Brandon Johnson and Paul Vallas? They're the ones that are running for the mayor's race in the runoff. We're gonna have to see how that plays out. But yeah, Lori Lightfoot's out, ladies and gentlemen, and to her knowledge, and look, see, that's the whole thing too. I'm just thinking about that. Then I'm gonna have to wrap this up and go home. She's saying this that is because of her race. You notice she did not take the blame for anything that happened in Chicago. Think about this, okay? You have some conservatives, they run and they like, look, we didn't do a good enough job. We messed up here. We did this. They kind of take the blame for what they did, but not Lori Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot says, hey, you know why I lost this election? Because of my race and my gender. Not to mention that, like I said, they have one of the highest crime rates all over the nation. In the city, one of the highest in the nations. It's not that people are not satisfied. Look, it even goes to the point like this. She was about to lose the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are trying to get out of Chicago, the city limits, so they can go ahead and make money. Because the city it owns Soldier Field, and they're charging them arm and a leg for the Bears to play there. And the mayor was working hard to go ahead and keep the Chicago Bears, but even the Chicago Bears are about to leave. That's bad when an NFL team wants to leave. And that was all done under Lori Lightfoot's watch. But it isn't Lori Lightfoot's fault, ladies and gentlemen. It's them people that voted for the other two individuals. And they were so racist, and they were so homophobic and sexist that they could not vote for a black woman. And a black woman, they couldn't vote for her, and they were probably they were homophobic too, so they couldn't vote for a lesbian. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Lori Lightfoot's argument. But as I proved, she didn't lose because of her race, gender, and her sexuality. She lost because she was a bad mayor. And the people of Chicago are finally opening their eyes that we need to have a change. And look, this shows one thing as well: you go woke, you lose your job. Especially as a politician. So with that being said, I want to thank you for listening to the Cajun Conservative Show today. It is, as always, an honor and a blessing to spend some time with you. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button on the platform that you are listening on. If you have any questions or concern, please go ahead and email me at thecajunconservative5@gmail.com, or go ahead and go on Facebook and leave a comment on any one of the videos that I put up there. Just want to remind everybody to remember that Jesus is King. And he's coming back one day. And he's coming back as Lord and Savior. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus, personal Lord and Savior, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. So until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. You have a good one. See you next time.